Why hello there, fellow Vulcanauts. Radamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeer's Brutal Vulcan. Episode 60. Launching our first rocket to orbit. So ultimately, I would say, leaving a lot of margin for error, we're going to want something like 750 moles of oxygen in the rocket to get it to orbit. Meaning that this network needs about 700 moles of oxygen in its fuel. And it right now has 81. And we'll do 1,000. I'll push it to 1,000. So we're just gas mixing up some fuel. I think the gas mixer is equalize the pressure between so I'm going to need to do some more hydrogen filtration in order to get this more ready. Because this became too low pressure. Ironically, the extended storage tanks is working against me now, because adding additional capacity to this network lowered its pressure, which lowers the effectiveness of the gas mixer. But it's better safe than sorry, because the not doing that could have had things explode, which I think is arguably worse. So while my volatiles fuel up, let's eat, drink, and then hook up the uplink so I can show you the rocket control panel, because that part's pretty cool. How much water do I have? Speaking of fuel. 22 liters. Yeah, I'm fine. Alright, so up here, use a screwdriver on the uplink to link it to a downlink. And then if you look at the panel, as you can see, accessing Nabla Survey Rocket. So each rocket needs its own uplink and downlink. And with that done, I can open up the UI and select the rocket here. So in the top right here, you can pick the rockets. So if you have multiple rockets with multiple uplinks, they'll all show their individual like satellite dishes. So the Nabla Survey Rocket is 27% battery charged with barely any fuel, because obviously we vacuumed out the fuel. And you can see its mass, dry mass, thrust, weight, thrust to weight ratio. All the engines are off. And over here, the avionics are on, the batteries are on at low, because it's still charging. The scanner is off because it doesn't need to scan anything, and its engine is off, and that's very important because if you turn the engine on here, if you click that, it will try to launch, and obviously there's no fuel in it, so it will fail. And then each individual component will tell you what... So, like, I have 31%, battery filled for that medium, for instance. And up here is... So if you wanted to get rid of the rocket, like if it was in orbit and the batteries died, you could abandon it so that it is out of code, essentially. Auto shutoff is important because anytime it does a transfer window, so when I go from launch to orbit, the auto shutoff will like turn off the power to the pumped gas engines once we get there, and turn off rocket scanners between transitions. And then this here is the auto land. So the auto land is it trying to land with how much confidence it will be for landing. Obviously, our first rocket's not even going to bother landing, but this would be important for like cargo rockets to land back on the planet. And essentially what you need is its thrust to weight ratio matters a lot, and how much fuel is in there matters a lot, and then the height of the burn. So this is when you start to rocket burn. The higher up you are, the more fuel you'll burn to slow your descent, and the more confident you'll be of your descent. So you can either do a suicide burn or like a high elevation burn, and it really depends on how much fuel is left. For how safely you want to land back. So that's essentially the controls. Now that we have a landing pad, you can see that we have a launch mount, which is where the Nobler rocket currently is. And we can say destination for the Nobler rocket's going to be Vulcan orbit. Once you have more positions discovered, you can go from the launch mount to somewhere else, but it will still follow the path. So you'll still go from launch mount to orbit, orbit to X, X to Y, Y to Z. It follows the sort of like path. There's no like triangulation shortcuts or anything like that. Yeah. So, we're just waiting to get a little bit more fuel to be pressurized. Truth be told, I probably have enough. Let's try to get a little bit more pressure there. I didn't check the temps. The temps are equal. That's fine. So I did say about 750. So that's all the fuel that we're going to need. So, let's go seal up the avionics cone. Prepare for rocket launch. Also, it looks like my nitrogen percent went down. That's just soybeans being soybeans, I suppose. So in order to do that, we're going to want to quickly volume pump the fuel into the rocket and then come back inside and I'll launch it. But I'll do like a sanity check of all the components before we go ahead with that last phase. And we're going to obviously want to wait for the batteries to fill up. 2. There we go. It's sealed. If you're wondering, if you open up the doors, you'll still be able to see that there's... like, it's not solid, right? I can still see the avionics unit in there. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to come out and check on the fuel. Oh, yeah, we have a lot more fuel than I thought. We have 4.6 kilomoles. I'm only going to need a small fraction of that to launch the rocket. Do I want a pipe analyzer instead of a pipe meter? Probably. So I think I'm going to upgrade to a pipe analyzer so that I have a little bit more data available to me for what is loaded into the rocket. Because what is in that umbilical pipe is essentially what is in the rocket, because they share the same volume when they're umbilical connected. Because the pipe analyzer will be able to show me the moles, not just the pressure. And the moles are what matters, because you burn moles of fuel. So let's upgrade that. Pipe analyzer. So iron, gold, electrum. Yeah, I think that's going to be better. And I still have heavy cables to plug it in, so it's no problem. Alright, batteries, 57%. So, we still have a little bit of waiting to do. But it's getting there. And if I heavy cabled everything inside, well, actually, I can try to upgrade the few internal cables leading from the power umbilical to the batteries is heavy to see if they charge faster. They probably will. I don't know for certain, but I suspect that to be the case. But I need a few more heavy cables if I want to build that out. But if it speeds up the launches, that'd be great. So now I can see that, wait, what? hell's in that line? I think that's straight up lying to me. No? What? Why? What? Why is there Vulcan air in the pipe? I am quite confused why atmosphere somehow got in. Time to do some sleuthing. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously... Huh. I don't... It seems like a bug to me. Because that's really not supposed to happen. I don't have, like, any way for intake to do that. Luckily, I know that I can just delete it. Sucked it back through the engine? I don't think engines can do that. I mean, it's possible. I won't... What I'll do in the future is I won't, like, reverse the volume pump. But, like, I don't think they're designed to be able to, like Mega Maid go from suck to blow. Okay. It's empty now. So, the pipe analyzer wasn't lying to me. Just something weird happened. Actually, this pipe still has junk in it. Let's hook up, like, a exhaust valve for it, I guess. For that weird situation. So, I'll get I have an active vent already in the base, and I'll just hook up an active vent here to be able to blow out what we don't want. Very odd. But, let's retract the umbilical before, like, weird... What the hell? Okay, there's something super buggy going on, because I retracted the umbilical and it re-extended and put garbage back in. Okay. Whatever. Oh, I'll get an active vent this out and reset it. But yeah, glad I caught that. That's test but verify, right? Trust but verify. That's some pretty weird behavior. Yeah, I don't really know where that gas came from. It, like, just magically was added somehow. It's not how it's supposed to work. There's an active vent, which we can point outwards and blow out the gas we don't want. With some extra heavy cables to be able to plug it in. Yeah, even the whole thing of like equalizing with ambient temperature seemed wrong too. Because in my playing of this, I've never seen that happen. Your rockets don't do that. So I don't really know what's going on, but whatever, we'll tinker into it until it works as intended. That should be enough heavy cables. I've got the active vent, I got the plumbing, so let's go fix that. Also, let's yeah, we can see that the base's battery percent went down a lot, and that's because like 10 megawatts got shoved into those rockets batteries. So they're at 88%. So they're soon to be ready to be launched. Maybe a leaky O-ring. Yeah, feels like it. Feels like some sort of nonsense like that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It shouldn't behave like that. I mean, the The biggest tell there was when I retracted the umbilicals and they just re-extended. Is a huge tell that like something wonky happened that should not have happened because it didn't know what state the umbilicals were in, whether they were in the extended state or not. And that's a huge flag of like, okay, yeah, the game doesn't even know what it's doing. So now I have this exhaust, which should be getting rid of all the gas in here, and if I extend this, it should be able to vacuum out all of what's in the rocket, so the rocket becomes empty, the tanks. So I don't have to uninstall it, it's now a vent that does it. So here we can see it's working. And I'll just wait until it's vacuum, and then we're ready to fuel it up again. Hypothetically. Some weirdness abounds, so what I will do is I'll create a backup save in case something goes wrong that isn't me making mistakes, but the game going haywire on the fritz. You know, I'll save scumming when it's not my fault is not an issue. It's I don't want to make the mistakes myself. So we're down to, yep, it is empty. And good. All right, all we're waiting on now is those batteries to be full. I was going to replace the cables with the heavy watt ones, but like at this point we're waiting for like 5% difference or whatever. So let's go inside into our rocket controls and check check how full they are, and then as soon as they fill up, we can fuel and launch. And so that I don't have any further interruptions, I don't want to have to like eat or drink in the middle of the launch, I'll just top up now. Imagine being in, like, NASA HQ for, like, launch control and being like, hey, guys, I need a bathroom break. Can we delay the Saturn rocket launch for, you know, me to go potty? Said no one ever. I kind of wish I could just stick a pipe meter on the water. Yeah, actually, I can. Sweet. Oh, that'll work. Alright, batteries. You full yet? 99%. Alright, you're functionally full. Okie dokie. Let's create a save game. So this is Nabla Survey Launch. Power's going back up via solar. That's good. So fuel it up until we have, let's say, 750 moles of oxidizer in the rocket. Retract umbilicals. Double check the rocket's actually got the right gas in it. That's a big one. And then launch. Something weird is going on. Okay. This has 630 moles of oxygen, but it's not, the temperature isn't changing like last time. So whatever weird was happening stopped. How much pressure? Trial and error. There we go. We have 787 moles of oxygen. Good enough. It varies. The planets you're on, the weight of your rocket. There's too many variables for me to like walk you through that. One thing that might be nice is to get a readout of the rockets. So get like a panel that shows that information. But as far as I know now, the rocket is fueled, so let's retract umbilicals, which can go through the doors. The rocket should be all set to go. Any fuel that's stuck in this pipe is, like, fine. It's because it's shelf stable. What I can do is suck it back just so that it can normalize temperatures with the base. Well, actually, it's not even set up to do that. It's all right. We're set to launch. Let's get going. Let's send it. Just top it up with batteries. I'm definitely going to want to be suitless for this. I want to hear it. Well, being outside would be even better, but I can't be outside and without a suit. Well, I can, just for like 3 seconds until I asphyxiate and die. So, Nobler rocket is connected. Nobler rocket has oxidizer and volatiles. Nobler rocket is headed for Vulcan orbit. Nobler rocket has avionics, downlink, scanner, batteries, and a pump gas engine. And a tank with fuel. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Bye-bye! Be good! Alright, firing up the, firing up the scanner. So, we can see here, we have got 50 seconds of fuel, and we're in orbit in 10 seconds. So I fueled it up more than it needed, in other words. But, like, better safe than sorry. And now, Nobler survey rocket is in Vulcan orbit. So if we take a look at the map here, if I go to location, I can hit chart. What chart does, and then go back to the rocket and turn on the rocket scanner. What chart does is it will survey what this is and what that is. And the charting is adding 30 scan strength every 20 seconds up to 200 to figure out these 2 points of interest. Additionally, now that the scanner is on, we are going to start filling out the map. So if you see here, the map is being filled, and these various colors correlate to various elements for deep drilling. And given enough time, the parabolic curve will fill in for all of Vulcan, because I added a whole bunch of batteries, so that we know we'll have a complete map of the surface of Vulcan for its deep ores. Because our first rocket obviously was a survey rocket, so it is currently surveying. We're about to chart the first point of interest in just a second. And then there's another point of interest as well. And once you've charted it, it's permanent. You know what that thing is. So, Acheron, a moon of Vulcan, just got charted. And that links to 2 more points of interest. And now we're charting this thing. It's so slow. The battery's going to be enough. I added 10 megawatts of power for a reason. So yeah, it should be enough. And we are just about done charting this thing too. And you can see the delta V, or the change in velocity, required to get to Acheron. And then required to get to this unknown point that's going to be done in just a second. So this unknown point is sparse vapors. And the sparse vapors is something to be mined. So it's a cloud of stuff. What we could do, so the delta V required to get the sparse vapors is 188. And I may have enough fuel for it. At this moment, our survey rocket isn't idle, but I'm leaving the rocket scanner on so that we can map the surface of Vulcan. And that's all there is to it. For the first survey rocket. And over time, over the course of days, the satellite will orbit Vulcan enough to actually produce a complete map. So you can kind of see the parabolic curve coming back down, and it will go back down and up, and eventually it will fill in. And that's essentially how a polar orbit satellite would work, more or less. And there was no damage to the, I mean, it's hard to tell from here, but there was no damage to our launch tower or launch mount. So the umbilicals, the tower, the mount, all that stuff, I wouldn't have to build another one, as long as it doesn't get broken. Now, with this rocket, we've used 2% power so far, just for reference. And it was kind of already at 99 at launch, so it wasn't like at 100% anyway. But, you know, if we check the batteries, it's these two batteries are completely full, and then this battery is 96% full, 95% full. So, yeah, that's the whole process of rocket launching. And the next rocket we would launch, so just a little spoiler here, and I'll be blue for the duration of the spoiler. Where we go from here would be to map out the sparse vapors. The sparse vapors is a cloud of frozen oxygen and frozen water. And you'd map that out and send a miner up there to go get either the water or the oxygen as a means to produce more fuel for more missions. But probably. Because as it is now, the farm is the bottleneck to making oxygen. And without spoiling too much, the amount of oxygen or water, because water can be electrolyzed to both oxygen and hydrogen, the amount of water or oxygen that we can get out of the sparse vapor cloud makes the farm that we have look like a dripping faucet of oxygen, to put it in perspective. So our farm makes, like, I don't know, a mole a second. Mining the vapors makes hundreds of moles. Thousands of moles. I mean, we would have so much oxygen or water if we sent a miner up there. So that's where we would go from here, if you were wondering. The question I have for you guys is this. Should I try to send Nabla to the vapor cloud? I don't think it's strictly necessary to send Nabla to the vapor cloud, mind you. And the reason is this. When you are surveying... Oh, is that even where the pole should be? When you're surveying a vapor cloud, the way the vapor clouds work is there is 9 potential zones to mine of every, like, resource node. And you have to chart it, which means you need a rocket scanner just to chart the mining areas, which is why I was saying, even when you send up a mining rocket, you still need a scanner, because you can't really mine something that you haven't scanned. You don't know where to mine without the scan part. Can I land it? No. As I explained before, I did not add enough fuel to land it because it's stupid to do it. I'm not going to mince words here. I already explained it. When you launch a satellite from Earth, you don't add enough fuel for it to land. No one has ever done that. Because it's not a satellite if it can land. It's an orbiter or something. I don't know. There's a term for it. So yeah, the Nabla rocket is a satellite. It doesn't land. It will never land. I didn't design it to land. It shouldn't even land. It wouldn't make sense because there's no valuable resource on it for it to land other than the value of the rocket itself, which is honestly just like some steel. Right? Steel, copper, gold, electrum. I mean, you know, it wasn't that expensive. So it looks like we're not going to bother sending it to the vapor cloud. But yeah, there you go. We have the chart. And the way this works, and I guess I'll show you the other half of this, is that correlates, as I mentioned before, to the deep mining map. So if you want to know what that is, I would need the deep mining cartridge. So with the deep miner cartridge, it's a little weird that you could just like use the cartridge, but whatever, I'll just show you. So with the tablet, where I am right now, the broken plateau, is ore. Iron ore. So if I set up a deep miner here, once it bored through the lithosphere or whatever, once it bored through the ground and got to the bedrock, the bottom, it would periodically produce some dirty iron ore that would need to be cleaned, and then, you know, it's iron, essentially, with the deep miner. So the way these deep miners work is you set them up as like a mining drill, it bores down, and then once it hits the bottom, it will continually produce whatever is present in the bottom layer. And the bottom layer right now is iron. And the map that Nabla is generating is the map of all the ores. So you have different colors like iron or copper or cobalt or, you know, and all of these colors correlate to different materials that we could potentially mine. And once we have a full map, if we are looking for to do deep mining, the scan is helpful. And these are static maps, so if you want to cheat, I think the map to Mars and to the moon are already known. So if you want to do deep mining without the whole scanning it yourself, I think you can cheat. I don't think Vulcan's map exists though. So I guess I'm making one. But that's basically how that works. So far we've used 4% of its battery, and it's, you know, it's probably done more than 4% of the scan, I hope. And that's the TLDR. Now, if you're wondering about the process for a miner with the little remaining time I have is basically the same rocket we have that we sent up, plus more fuel and probably less power, because you really only need like one battery for a mining rocket, because it's going to fill up its internal storage capacity of ores before the one battery runs out. So we'd be sending up like a single battery, but with a lot more fuel. And more fuel because there's no point in mining stuff up in space if you can't bring it back down to the surface. Now, there is a bit of a weight limit for that, however, because the pumped gas rockets can only support so much. They're only so powerful, right? They can only produce 16.2 kilonewtons. So because of that, there is essentially a weight limit of how much you can mine. Now, with that said, the amount that we could mine with even a small cargo pod is a eye-watering nosebleed amount of ores still. So it's not really a big bottleneck. So the pump, the pump gas engines, produce 16.5 kilonewtons, and in order to land on Vulcan, and this will vary, of course, from gravitational body to gravitational body, as I explained, but we need at least 8 kilonewtons of thrust required. And the reason that's important is the heavier your rocket is, the more fuel it will need in order to do like an aerobraking burn or like an engine burn, a suicide burn, whatever you want to call it, in order to slow down to not crash. So when you're designing these rockets, you want to put in the right ratio of fuel to the cargo that you have on board so that it can survive re-entry. And I don't know if there's a guide on that. It's mostly trial and error. So like I know roughly what I would need to put in. So for the first mining rocket, if I wanted to get like, let's say a cargo, one cargo, small cargo storage. So one small cargo storage, each of these 51 slots is a stack of ore. So think of it as like 50, or forget the import and export, but 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. You can see how many stacks that is. So we're talking like 50 stacks of ores or 2,500 ores is a lot of oxygen or water or whatever we're mining up, because there's other resources up there besides oxygen and water. Granted, because of Vulcan, the important ones would be oxygen and water because they're not easily sourceable. Hey, look at that! The warning worked. My CO2 is empty. Oh, well, that's the wrong cartridge. CO2 is empty. Boop. Now, I do have to worry about the temperature spiking now that I'm filtering CO2. Actually, that's not exactly true. Wait, what is going... Why are these... What? How are these... That doesn't even make sense. Am I losing gas in my night gas? I'm confused because somehow I wasn't filtering CO2, but it disappeared. Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense. It was the same weirdness that happened with the rocket refueling. It's just like weird gas. There's some sort of bug going on right now or something. Oh. No, because unfiltered should have cycled back in here. Yeah, I don't know what happened, honestly. But my night gas got lost. Somehow. I was going to rework the night gas system anyway. So that it worked better to not bring in pollutants. So that's something that I could improve upon. Next iteration if we needed to make more stuff. But it's weird because my night gas tank, I wasn't filtering out the carbon dioxide and it just kind of leaked out. And I'm wondering if it was as a result of these valves here, just like letting it bleed. I kind of wonder if that's been, if that was the culprit. Shouldn't have been, because it should only let liquid out there, but like something tells me that that was the culprit anyway. Yeah. So that's, so in order to send up a cargo rocket, just to finish that last thought, and yes, the night gas logic is off. That's intentional. If you missed that, I did that at the start of the stream on purpose. In order to launch a cargo rocket, we would need like roughly 6 kilomoles of oxidizer, 12 kilomoles of volatiles for like a single miner head cargo setup. And that would allow us to mine up either oxygen or water and then bring it back down. And then the other thing is we would need an umbilical for the cargo, for the ores. To probably bring them to a vacuumed room, I'd imagine. So maybe the arc furnace and centrifuge room. And the reason you'd want it in a room like that is then you have ices, but those ices, if it's water, it would melt in the atmosphere of Vulcan, and if it's oxygen, it would explode in the atmosphere of Vulcan, so you really don't want those ices to interact with any ambient gas. And you'd want to process those ices and then put them into storage so that you can use them. So whether you get water, which then can be turned into fuel, or oxygen, which then can be mixed with volatiles to turn into fuel, you can further fuel up your rocket program. And I think RocketWorks, the developer Stationeers, set it up so that the vapors closest to Vulcan are the either water or oxygen, which you need to run more rocket missions, because if they weren't, it would be very hard to do rocketry on Vulcan without like you know, Darva ferns or a massive greenhouse or something like that. But right now we have a pending problem of I don't have CO2 coming into the farm. So for next stream, my goal is to fix CO2 intake for the farm, because without CO2 intake, our farm will eventually run out of CO2, converting into oxygen, and die. And for whatever reason, my CO2 in the night gas system disappeared. I don't know where it went. I didn't filter it. So it disappeared, I think, but I'm going to rework that system anyway, so it's kind of moot. But that, friends, is where I'm going to leave off, having done our first survey launch of Nabla heading up to orbit to map the surface of Vulcan for deep mining, if we ever did deep mining. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow engineers.